I'll look around until I found.
Hello. You see this tower of books? I'm gonna be completely honest in this video and tell you exactly what I have and have not read as a English and sociology student. I'm doing like half English, half sociology, but I'm just gonna caption this video an English major to make it more catchy. I'm in second year now, so I'll tell you what books I have read and what I had to read in first year, the first 2 semesters, and now I'm in my last semester of second year. Almost finished. I should probably be studying and reading instead of doing this right now. But you know what? We all have our issues. I procrastinate by making YouTube videos about what I do in college instead of doing the college work that I should be doing in college. But anyway, what I have read in college so far has been... These are the books that I read in my first year of college. So I don't know how like most universities work, but we have modules, and the modules that I did in my first semester were, I actually only did 2 English modules. So I did contemporary Irish writing and reading world literature. For contemporary Irish writing, I read a bunch of novels by new Irish authors. So I think the first one was Actress by Anne Enright. Phenomenal book. It was really good. It's again contemporary. I think it was written in 2020. Then I read, oh fuck, there's a big oh my god, there's a big stain, coaster stain. Why the Moon Travels, which is about the traveller community in Ireland, which was also really interesting. I had to write an essay about that. Then I have read The M Pages by Colette Bryce. I think all of these books were relatively like expensive. They were from 13 to 15 euro because they are like high in demand since the universities have them on the curriculum. And this was my first semester, first year of college, so I was like, oh, I have to read everything. We'll probably buy everything, which I did end up doing. And it's really expensive. Like, if each one of these books costs 15 euro, you do the maths. I can't be spending that much each semester. So from then on, if you can tell, I don't actually have a lot of the physical copies of the books that I've read. It's because I would borrow them from the library. These were the 4 novels that I read for that class. Contemporary Irish writing. I also did reading world literature, which I have a few novels here. For reading world literature, I had to read one of Shakespeare's plays. I forget which one it was now. I didn't read this entire novel. I have the entire Shakespeare collection. That's why this novel is humongous. I did not read the whole thing, just one play. And I also read Exit West by Mohsin Hamid, which is also, I think, contemporary. It was published recently. Amazing book about immigration and what it means to have a country with borders and what that does to the world. Then I read King Solomon's Mines, that absolute dirtbag. We were reading it through a colonial perspective. I think the whole module was about colonialism. And I also read William Butler Yeats, one of my favorite Irish poets. And I had this novel from high school actually, because when you're in Ireland, you're obviously going to study him in high school, in primary school, and in college. So there we go. Okay, those are the only actual things that I read for those first semesters in college. I also had to read another novel called Washing Up. I had to read The Old Country Music by Kevin Barry, which is like part of the Irish module as well, which I did not buy, did not read, because you don't have to read every single thing when you're an English student. Like, just kind of pick your battles. If you know what you're going to write your essay about, just read that. There's no point in kind of wasting your time. I also had to read a lot of selected poems by Thomas Pringle and Kaleka Putuma, which my professor provided me on Brightspace Online, so I didn't have to spend any money buying that, which was really good. Also read Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl by Harriet Jacobs. I think I only read half of it. I didn't end up writing my essay about it, so I did not finish the entire novel. I also had to read a bunch of short stories by Pauline Melville. A lot of poetry and short stories that were provided on Brightspace. I can't remember them now. Not long at all, really small, and the lecture would be based around them, or like a collection of poetry that you would write your essay about. But these are the only like physical novels that I actually read and purchased. So, second semester, I actually did not buy any novels for the second semester because I was like, I spent so much money on the first semester. So in 2022 spring, that second semester of my first year, I actually only had 1 English module because I did a bunch of electives as well as my sociology major like took over kind of. I also did like philosophy and art history and stuff, so I only did 1 English module, which was literature and crisis, and mostly it was not even like about reading. It was kind of just getting the extra stories where we would cover a topic, For example, I remember one week we did like, AIDS and all of that, so we would read a bunch of short stories from around the world about the AIDS epidemic and like literature surrounding crisis. As you can tell by the title of the module. That just was like a bunch of small poetry, small short stories, so it was not that heavy in terms of reading. In second year now, so I'll tell you what I read so far. I'm in second semester, so let's go back, rewind the time to my first semester in second year. English modules that I was doing were my sociology modules. They were more than my English modules. Like one semester there'll be more English, one semester there'll be more sociology. So for my English modules, I did just two. It was critical theory and Irish literature in English. So for critical theory, again, it was kind of like literature in crisis. There was not a lot of novels like per se to read. It was mostly poetry, articles, short stories. I don't even have any of them off the top of my head because there was not even a set reading list. Just each week they would give you another short story or poem to read. So honestly, second semester was kind of a breeze. It was grand. For my Irish literature in English, I purchased these two novels. No, just this one actually. So I had to read selected poetry by Evan Boland, which I didn't purchase a novel for. They put her stuff up on Brightspace for me, so I didn't have to spend any money, which I'm very grateful for. Then we read The Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce, which actually, fun fact, my college library is called the James Joyce Library because this guy went to my college. So cool, bonding moment. He's also the guy who wrote the Ulysses and Dubliners, so he's really famous in Ireland. Whee! We had to read a short story collection, Little Red and Other Stories by Eilish Ní Dubhin, and then The Land of Spices. The Land of Spices by Kate O'Brien. Had to read it for that module as well. And then the poetry of William Butler Yeats. Kind of these three were the main focuses of that module for me. There were more that you had to read, like the collection of short stories, even Boland's poems. I kind of just read these three, which is actually a lot considering I don't read a lot. I'm kind of a terrible English student. I do love English. I enjoy English. I prefer to read my own things. Like I have been reading throughout this whole year and last year as well. But I like my own stuff, you know what I mean? Then for the second semester, which I'm in now, I'll tell you the modules that I did for 2023. So the spring semester, the English modules that I did were Global Eco-Literature. I did a creative writing module as well, so I'm just going to count that as well. So I did Global Eco-Literature, travel writing, reading medieval literature, and modern American literature. So last semester I only had 2 English modules, this semester I had 4. So you know what I mean, like it ebbs and flows. But I have not read a lot for this semester despite the amount of English, you would be surprised. So for travel writing, it's not really like a literature heavy course, it's kind of just teaching you how to travel write, more writing, hands-on. But we did have to read a bunch by travel writers, so I bought this book secondhand. And we just had to do a book review, so I just picked the cheapest book that I could find, which was 30 Days in Sydney. So yeah, I read that for the literature review that I had to do. Not literature review, book review. Then for Global Eco-Literature, I only had one set text, I think, set novel, and it was called The Disaster Tourist. And I have not read it, but I put a photo up on screen of what I was supposed to read, and I'm gonna read it. Okay, I'm gonna read it because I think my exam is gonna be on it, so I have to get to that. I also had to read a bunch of poetry. It's mostly poetry and short stories. We had to do like these 5 short stories about cli-fi, climate change, science fiction. So again, mostly short stories, not that heavy, really easy to read every week. For modern American literature, I'll show you now. Okay, so we had to read some poetry by T.S. Eliot. I think it was The Wasteland. We read this book, Bread Givers by Anna Jezierska, which was actually like really fun. It was a really good read. I really enjoyed it. I wrote my essay about it and did not get a good grade. I'm not that good at writing English essays for some fucking reason. Probably because I'm just shit. That's the reason. Bread Givers by Anja Jezierska, not Anna Jezierska. And for my reading medieval English literature module, I had to read a bunch of stories from the Northern Anthology of English Literature, which I bought secondhand, thank God, because these retail for like 30 to 40 euro. So I bought it on Wob, for about only €10. Yeah, I got this for €10 and it like retails for almost 50. So that was a steal. Each of these texts that I'm going to tell you were in this book, so I just had to read those. I had to read The Wanderer, The Wife's Lament, Beowulf, Judith, Sir Orfeo, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, The Miller's Prologue and Tale, The Wives of Bots, Prologue and Tale. So you kind of just bring these to the lecture and then they will talk about the stories that you read and you annotate them. That is everything I have read so far as an English student, as a English and sociology major. I definitely have to probably do more reading in third year, as well as I will probably be cramming all the reading that I have not done so far in this semester to prepare myself for the exams that are incoming. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to quit my part-time jobs. I have to become financially independent. And that would really help me to do that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please watch some of my other ones and stick around. But of course, stick around. Just jokes!